Just continue with the properties of the alkali metals or a group 1 metals. The next point is that is the ionization enthalpy. Ionization enthalpy. Still the problem arises, just wait. Okay, let us continue. Let us see the ionization enthalpy. ഇത് എപ്പോഴും വന്നുകൊണ്ടേയിരിക്കും. Okay. So, ionization enthalpy. Ionization enthalpy of alkali metals. Okay, what is meant by ionization enthalpy? Do you remember that? We had seen ionization enthalpy in the chapter periodic classification. You know, it is the amount of energy required to remove the most loosely bound electron from an atom. The energy required to remove the most loosely bound electron from an atom. That's called ionization enthalpy or ionization potential or ionization energy. Say, alkali metals they are very large atoms. They are very large. Alkali metals are very large atoms. Since these atoms are very large, they have very low ionization enthalpy. Very low ionization enthalpy. Because since the atoms are very large, the outermost electron is loosely bound to the nucleus. So the electron can be easily removed and only a lower amount of energy is required to remove that electron for ionization. So the ionization enthalpy of alkali metals, group 1 metals, are very low values. They have low ionization enthalpies. That is because these atoms are very large in size. Down the group, say from top to bottom, as we know, the atomic size increases. There is increase in the atomic size. And therefore, from top to bottom, the ionization enthalpy decreases. Ionization enthalpy decreases down the group, decreases. That is because down the group, the atomic size increases because atomic size increases from top to bottom. From top to bottom, atomic size increases. and therefore the ionization enthalpy decreases. The electrons are weakly held by the nucleus. And so down the group, the ionization enthalpy decreases. Now come to the next point, that is hydration enthalpy. Hydration enthalpy. Hydration enthalpy. What is meant by hydration enthalpy? Hydration enthalpy. Okay, you must know what is meant by hydration first of all. What is meant by hydration? You know, when a solute is added into a solvent, the solute particles, ions or molecules, are covered by the solvent molecules. And the covering process, that's called a solvation. If the solvent is water, then it is called a hydration. Hydration. Say, for example, if sodium chloride is put into water, there will be Na plus and Cl minus ions. There will be Na plus and Cl minus ions in solution. And these ions, say Na plus ions, are covered by water molecules. Covered by water molecules. Why is it so? You know, water molecules are polar molecules. They are polar molecules. Oxygen is negatively charged and hydrogen is positively charged. And therefore, water molecules are polar molecules. Due to polarity, the Na plus ions are covered by water molecules. Similarly, the chloride ions, they are also negatively charged ions, and these are also covered by water. These are also covered by water molecules. And it is also called hydration. Hydration. Hydration is a type of a bond formation. That is a loose bond formation. And we know during the formation of a bond, energy is released. Energy is given out. Bond formation is exothermic. Energy is given out. Here during the hydration, that means covering of the ion by water molecules during hydration, a definite amount of energy will be released. And the amount of energy released during hydration, that's called a hydration enthalpy or hydration energy. So hydration enthalpy or hydration energy is the amount of energy released, given out when, say, a particle, so for example, an ion is hydrated by water molecules, covered by water molecules. That's called the hydration enthalpy. Now you come to the ionization enthalpy of the alkali metal ions. Say Li plus ion, Na plus ion, K plus ion, etc. Hydration enthalpy decreases from top to bottom. Say we have Li plus ion, then Na plus ion, K plus ion, Rb plus ion, Cs plus ion. You take all these unipositive ions. We know down the group, that is from lithium to cesium, the ionic size increases. Ionic size increases. And so the hydration decreases. Strength of hydration that decreases. And therefore, hydration energy also, hydration enthalpy also decreases from top to bottom. And therefore, hydration enthalpy of Li plus is greater than that of Na plus, greater than that of K plus, greater than that of Rb plus, greater than that of Cs plus. So that is the variation of the hydration enthalpy. I repeat, hydration enthalpy means the amount of energy released when ions are covered by water molecules or hydrated by water molecules. That is a hydration enthalpy or hydration energy. From top to bottom, the ionic size increases. From top to bottom, ionic size increases. Atomic size increases. Similarly, ionic size also increases. And therefore, hydration, hydration decreases. The amount of hydration decreases. And therefore, the hydration enthalpy decreases from top to bottom. From top to bottom, hydration enthalpy decreases. So Li plus is having the highest, it is having the highest hydration enthalpy. While Cs plus that has the least hydration enthalpy in the given series. Li plus has the highest hydration enthalpy. It is the smallest ion with a +1 charge. Smallest ion with a +1 charge. So there is the largest amount of hydration. And the hydration enthalpy will be the largest for Li plus ion. Due to this very high hydration enthalpy of a Li plus ion, lithium salts are seen in the hydrated form. Lithium salts, lithium, lithium salts, lithium salts are seen in hydrated form, are hydrated. They are seen in the hydrated form. For example, you take chloride. Say lithium chloride, LiCl, it exists as LiCl2H2. While you take sodium chloride, normally it exists as NaCl, KCl. There is no water of hydration, but for lithium chloride, there is a water of hydration. Lithium chloride exists as LiCl2H2O. And that is due to very high hydration enthalpy of Li plus ion. Li plus ion has the highest in the hydration enthalpy. And due to the highest hydration enthalpy of Li plus ion, hydration enthalpy of Li plus ion, the lithium salts are seen in the hydrated form. There will be water molecules along with lithium salts. For example, lithium chloride exists as LiCl2H2O. Two water molecules are there as water of hydration. But for sodium chloride, normally there is no water molecule. It is only NaCl. Potassium chloride, normally it is KCl only. There is no water of hydration. So in the case of lithium chloride, there is a water of hydration. Now you come to some of the physical properties of the alkali metals. You have studied in the 10th standard the properties of the alkali metals. You know, alkali metals are silvery, white, soft metals. They are silvery white when freshly cut. When freshly cut, alkali metals have silvery white appearance. Silvery or silver gray in color. They are very soft also. They are very soft. The atoms are held weakly. The interatomic bond, that is very weak bonds. So they are very soft metals. And we have studied that alkali metals can be cut using a knife. They can be cut using a knife. So they are very soft. Now, down the group from top to bottom, lithium, sodium, potassium, etc. Normally, the density increases. Atomic mass increases down the group, atomic mass increases. Since atomic mass increases, the density, normally the density increases. But in the case of sodium and potassium, there is a twist. You know, lithium, sodium, potassium. Say potassium is coming only after sodium. The beginning I told, down the group, density increases. Down the group, density increases. From top to bottom, density increases. If it is so, lithium, sodium, potassium. So potassium is coming only after sodium. Potassium is below sodium. So if we expect sodium to have more density than sodium, but reverse is the case. Say potassium is lighter than sodium. That is an exceptional case. That's an exceptional case. Potassium is lighter than sodium. And others are having normally down the group, there will be increase in the density. But if you compare the densities of sodium and potassium, potassium is having lower density than sodium. So potassium is lighter than sodium. Next point is about the flame color. Flame color. What is meant by flame color? Next year, when you do the salt analysis, you are going to do the flame color test. Flame color test is conducted to find out certain metallic ions, cations. There are certain cations which can produce characteristic color. They can impart characteristic color when brought in contact with the Bunsen burner flame. Say the given compound, the given salt is made into a paste with a hydrochloric acid, concentrated HCl. The given salt is made into a paste with a concentrated HCl. And that paste is shown to Bunsen flame, Bunsen burner flame, that is blue in color. That is shown to the Bunsen flame. When shown to the Bunsen flame, there will be production of certain characteristic colors. So certain salts of metals can impart specific colors to the flame, Bunsen flame, and that's called the flame color. Flame color. The color produced when a paste of the salt with the concentrated HCl is shown to a Bunsen flame. That's called the flame color. Flame color is highly characteristic of the metal. It is a highly characteristic of the metal. That means from the flame color, we can identify the metal. Say, for example, lithium salt. That is a crimson. Crimson is deep red in color. Deep red, that is crimson. Then sodium, that is golden yellow in color. Golden yellow. Then potassium, that is light violet in color. Violet, not that much deep in color, slight violet color. We call it as lilac. L-I-L-A-C, lilac. So it has a violet color, can produce a violet color. Similarly, say rubidium, that is a red violet, cesium salts can impart blue color to the flame. So from the color, we can identify the metal. In the pyrotechny is the fireworks. The fireworks used, in the fireworks, colors are produced. The colors are produced by using these metallic salts. These metallic salts. When lithium salt is mixed with the gunpowder. Then there is a crimson red color, crimson red, that is bright red in color. Similarly, if sodium salts, well, sodium chloride will do. Sodium chloride will do. If sodium salt is used, it is mixed with the gunpowder, then there will be golden yellow color. Golden yellow color. So in the fireworks, to produce the different colors, we make use of the various metallic salts like this. So a light green color, that is due to barium salts, barium, grassy green color, barium. Say deep green color, that is due to the thallium salts, thallium salts. So these salts can produce characteristic flame color when the salts of these metals are shown to the Bunsen flame, and that's called the flame color. From the flame color, we can identify, we can confirm the metal as the salt. Okay. How is the color produced? How is the flame color produced? Say, I told you sodium gives a yellow color, golden yellow color, or say lithium salts, and lithium gives say crimson red, bright red in color. The colors are produced. How are these colors produced? We have seen in the chapter atomic structure. Atomic structure. We have seen the production of a spectrum, line spectrum, atomic spectrum, line spectrum, the emission spectrum. Do you know the emission spectrum? Forgotten everything. How is spectrum produced? How is emission spectrum? Spectra are of two types. Are of two types. One is emission spectrum. The other is absorption spectrum. And what is spectrum? As we have learned, spectrum is an orderly arrangement of the electromagnetic radiations in the order of their wavelength or their frequency. In the order of their wavelength or frequency, and that is spectrum. Corresponding to each wavelength, corresponding to each frequency, a particular color is produced, and that's called the emission spectrum. How is it produced? Okay. When an atom absorbs energy, the outermost electron, is excited, from the ground state. Ground state means the normal state. The normal state. From the ground state, the electron is excited to the higher level. When an atom absorbs energy, electron is excited from the ground state. Ground state means the normal state. From the ground state to the higher state. And that is called excitation. Excitation. Electron is jumping from the normal ground state to the higher state, higher orbital or a higher shell. And that is called excitation. You know, if energy of the ground state is equal to E1 and energy of the excited state, higher state, that is equal to E2, then there is energy difference between these two, and it is E2 minus E1. And that is a definite amount of energy. E2 minus E1 is a definite amount of energy. And that definite amount of energy is called a quantum of energy. Remember? All these are old stories. Okay, so there is a definite energy difference between the two states. And that energy difference is called a quantum of energy. So when an electron jumps from the ground state to the excited state, a definite quantum E2 minus E1, that is absorbed. You know, energetic quantum E is equal to h nu. Planck's theory. Energetic quantum E or epsilon is equal to h nu. where h is the Planck's constant and nu is the frequency. Nu is the frequency of the radiation. So the energy the quantum epsilon varies with the frequency because h is a constant. H is Planck's constant. That's a constant. So the variable is the frequency. So depending on the frequency, the amount of the quantum changes. Okay. Let us come back to the excitation. So when a quantum of energy is absorbed, there is excitation of an electron from the ground state to the excited state, higher state. And the energy absorbed will be 2 minus E1, that is equal to h nu. So there is a definite frequency nu. During the excitation, a definite frequency nu is absorbed. Okay. When the excited electron falls down, the excited electron falls down to the ground state. The ground state, what happens? The energy absorbed by the electron that is emitted, that is given out. That is the same quantum. The same quantum absorbed, that is emitted, that is given out. And the amount of energy given out, that is a definite quantum of energy. Corresponding to that, there is a definite frequency. H nu. H is constant. So a definite frequency. Corresponding to that definite frequency, a colored line is produced. Colored line. And that is called the emission spectrum. Emission, to emit. Energy is given out. Energy is emitted. And the corresponding colored line, that is called the emission spectrum. Emission spectrum. On the other hand, if the electron is jumping from the ground state to the higher level, the definite quantum of energy is absorbed. And you examine the remaining part of the radiation. You can see that the quantum absorbed is missing in the remaining part of a light. The quantum absorbed is missing. And corresponding to the missing frequency, H nu, H constant. So corresponding to the missing frequency, a dark line is produced. And that is called the absorption spectrum. So absorption spectrum is produced when the electron is excited from ground state to the higher state. Absorption spectrum. That is a dark line because during this process, a definite quantum is absorbed. A definite frequency is absorbed. And that frequency is missing in the remaining part of light. And corresponding to that, there will be a dark line. Okay. And that is called the absorption spectrum. Now, onto the emission spectrum. Emission spectrum, that is the visible spectrum. We can see different colors, VIBGYOR, different colors. That happens when the excited electron is falling down. Excited electron is falling down to the normal state, the ground state. Then the quantum will be the same quantum that will be emitted, given out. And corresponding to the quantum emitted, there will be a definite frequency emitted. And due to that frequency, a colored line is produced, and that is our emission spectrum. So emission spectrum is produced during the falling down of excited electron to the ground state, while absorption spectrum is produced when electron is excited from the ground state to the excited state or the higher state. Do you follow all these things? Okay. And these colored lines are all called spectra. All these are called spectra. So the colors are different spectra, no doubt. Similarly, you come to the flame color of the alkali metals. Alkali metals. Now, when alkali metals or their salts are shown to the Bunsen flame, Bunsen flame means that is the name of the burner used. The burner that is used in our lab, that's called the Bunsen burner. Bunsen burner. Because that burner was devised by Bunsen, the scientist, the technician, Bunsen, and so it is called the Bunsen burner. So that is used in our lab. Okay. So when the salt is shown to the Bunsen flame, there is excitation of electron from the sodium ion or sodium atom, potassium atom or potassium ion or lithium ion. Outermost electron is excited by absorbing heat energy. When shown to the flame, when the salt is shown to the flame, say energy is absorbed from the flame and electron is excited. Electron is excited first. When the excited electron is falling down, the same energy is given out. And corresponding to that, there is production of the flame color. See, when shown to the flame, Bunsen flame, energy is absorbed, electron is excited. When the excited electron falls down, say a definite quantum of energy is emitted. And corresponding to that quantum emitted, quantum is h nu. H is constant. So definite quantum means that depends on the frequency nu. So definite quantum is emitted means a definite frequency is emitted. Corresponding to that frequency or radiation, or a wavelength, frequency or a wavelength, say color is produced. A definite color is produced. Say lithium, crimson red, excitation by absorbing the red region, crimson red, the red region, that part of energy is absorbed and electron is excited and it is falling down to the normal state. The same energy is given out and there is production of the crimson red color. Similarly, say for sodium, golden yellow color, and say cesium, there is a blue color, etc. And it is highly characteristic of the metal. So alkali metals can impart definite colors to the Bunsen flame, and the colors produced are called flame colors. Examples: lithium crimson, sodium yellow, then golden yellow, and potassium violet, etc., etc. And how is the flame color produced? What is the mechanism behind this? When shown to the Bunsen flame, energy is absorbed from the flame. There is electronic excitation, and then the excited electron falls down to the ground state. Then a definite quantum of energy is given out, and corresponding to that, there is a production of characteristic color. Okay. Then let us think of another property that's called the photoelectric effect. Photoelectric effect. Photo. Next one is the photoelectric effect. Photoelectric effect. You will study this in physics in second year. In second year, you will study this in modern physics. Photoelectric effect. What is meant by photoelectric effect? You know, when light of certain frequencies falls on the surface of certain metals, not all, certain metals, electrons are knocked out. Electrons are, say they are knocked out. So when light of certain frequency falls on the surface of certain metals, electrons are ejected. Electrons are ejected. Say, what is falling on the surface of the metal? What is falling on the surface of the metal? The light is falling on the surface of the metal. Light is falling on the surface of the metal. What is light? Light is composed of light quantum known as photons. Photons. Photon, quantum. Light quantum is called a photon. Photon. So the photons are falling on the surface of the metal. Okay. Then, if photons are falling on that, for a photon, there will be a definite energy. Photon is the same as quantum. Light quantum is known as photon. So photon has definite energy. Energy of a photon is equal to h nu. H nu. H is constant. And the energy of the photon depends on what? Vidur. Energy of the photon depends on what? Adi. Okay, I shall explain. Light is composed of particles known as photons. Photons. Photons are the same as light quantum. The quantum, we say quantum, a quantum, the particle, the quantum. The quantum is the same as the photon. So each photon has a definite amount of energy. Definite amount of energy. And energy is equal to h nu. Energy is equal to h nu. H is constant. So energy of the photon depends on Adi.
Sir, frequency.
Frequency, yes. It depends on frequency. Frequency of the radiation depends on the frequency. Energy depends on frequency. We have the various ranges. Do you remember the gamma rays, X-rays, and UV rays, visible rays, IR, etc.? Eh? Microwave, long wave, radio wave, long wave, etc. We have seen. All these are the various forms of radiations, energy radiations, and all these are having different energies. All these particles are having, all are photons. Photons are having different energies. Okay. Now you come to the photoelectric effect. Photoelectric effect. Say, light of certain frequency falls on the surface of certain metals. Electrons are ejected. Electrons are knocked out from the surface of the metal. And that phenomenon is called a photoelectric effect. Photo means light, electric means electron. See the relation? Photo means light, electric means electron, photoelectric. So the ejection of electrons from the surface of certain metals, from the surface of a certain metals by the action of an incident radiation. Action of an incident radiation, incident light. That's called a photoelectric effect. Emission of electron from the surface of the metal by the action of light. That's called a photoelectric effect. Okay. And the electrons thus emitted are called photoelectrons. Photoelectrons. And I am not taking too much in this. And this was well studied by Einstein. Einstein. There is a famous equation, Einstein's photochemical equation. H nu is equal to H nu 0 plus half m square. That's not required for us. You need it for modern physics second year. It is needed. Photoelectric equation. Einstein's photoelectric equation. H nu is equal to H nu 0 plus half mv square. The details I are not explaining here. Okay. And Einstein gets Nobel Prize in the Studies of a photoelectric effect. You know, the celebrated equation is equal to mc square. When we hear about Einstein, immediately we think of Michael. Immediately we think of is equal to mc square. It's a well celebrated equation given by Einstein. Energy mass relation is equal to mc square. Not for that, Einstein was getting the Nobel Prize. There is the famous relativity theory, very famous relativity theory. Even the time is relative, according to Einstein. Not for that, he was getting the Nobel Prize. He was getting the Nobel Prize for photoelectric effect, studies in photoelectric effect. Okay. So you come to the you forget about the Nobel Prize. You think of the photoelectric effect. What is it? Ejection of, emission of, knocking out of electrons from the surface of metals, certain metals, by the action of light, by the action of incident light. That's called a photoelectric effect or photoelectric emission. Photoelectric emission. And there are certain devices in which this principle is employed. And as such, devices are called photoelectric cells. Photoelectric cells. So in the photoelectric cells, so light is made to fall on certain metals and electrons are ejected. And what the use of this? You will study that in physics. You just wait for 2 3 months. Not 2 3 months. You'll take 10 months. After that, you'll get to be taken at the last only. At the end, it will be taken. It's very simple, very interesting, and a very simple portion. Modern physics. There will get more details about this. Okay. So, so what I need is this. So cesium, potassium, all these are photosensitive metals. Photosensitive metals. That means when light falls on the surface of a cesium, potassium, etc., electrons will be knocked out. Electrons will be ejected. There will be photoelectric emission. And therefore, potassium, cesium, and these two are used in the photoelectric cells. What I need is this. So only for this, I was spending this much of time. So you need not, you will not ask me what it is. So it is my duty to explain what it is, what is photoelectric emission. Okay. So that will not be asked for the chemistry. Chemistry topic, it is not there. So say potassium, cesium, potassium and cesium is are used in photoelectric cells. Photoelectric cells. These are photosensitive metals. When light of certain frequencies falls on the surface of these metals, electrons will be knocked out. And the process, the phenomenon is called a photoelectric effect. And these are potassium and cesium are used in photoelectric cells. Okay. Now we have to see the reactivity of the alkali metals that we can see in the next class.